Welcome to the Deep Dive, your shortcut to being truly well-informed. Today, we're really diving deep into 10 understanding project management risks. We're going to trace how managing risk in projects has, well, evolved from ancient, almost intuitive ways to the super sophisticated, tech-driven stuff we see now. This material, by the way, is created by EasyPathUni by coordinations with Yazan Ibrahim. Get ready for some real aha moments. I think this will definitely shift how you see projects and risk itself.
Absolutely. That's exactly our mission here. We want to pull out the really key insights, how project risk management has changed, and maybe more importantly, why the way we do it now is just essential for handling all the uncertainty out there. Drawing from experience in audit, risk management, finance, especially having led audit for financial departments and working with standards underpinning certifications like CISA, CFE, and GRCP, it's clear we need to frame this strategically. It's not just about what risks are, but how we actively manage them, how we create value and honestly build resilience.
Yeah, exactly. This isn't just, academic theory. This stuff matters. It hits every organization strategically. We promise some surprising facts, some core ideas that'll stick with you. Okay, so let's start at the beginning, unpack this. When you look way back, ancient projects, the pyramids, the Great Wall of China, incredible. But the sources suggest it was mostly informal, right? Like ad hoc efforts, intuition, a ton of manpower. A kind of craft-based approach, fine for then, maybe, but it wouldn't fly with 20th century complexity, would it?
Oh, absolutely not. Completely insufficient. The mid-1950s in the U.S., that was really the dawn of formalization, as you might call it, driven by some really big, urgent challenges. Think about the U.S. Navy's Polaris missile project. Huge uncertainty. Nobody could really pin down cost or time accurately. So that led to PERT, Program Evaluation Review Technique. But the insight there wasn't just planning. It was this audacious idea of quantifying uncertainty for the first time, using 3 different time scenarios to figure out a probable completion date. That was revolutionary. And at the same time, for things like building chemical plants, more predictable stuff, you had the critical path method, CPM, emerging. Before this, project timelines were often, well, bit of a guess. PERT and CPM gave leaders a statistical edge. Data-driven foresight instead of just guesswork.
Wow, that is a profound shift from guessing to calculating probabilities. So, okay, we have PERT and CPM, these amazing new tools, but they weren't exactly available to everyone at first, were they? Kind of like a secret weapon for the big players. Was technology the bottleneck?
Precisely. That's exactly right.
Right.
Initially, these techniques needed serious computing power. We're talking expensive mainframe computers. So yeah, they were limited. Aerospace, defense, big construction firms, NASA. But then the 1980s hit. Personal computers, low-cost project management software. And boom, it just completely democratized these sophisticated methods. Suddenly, way more industries could actually use them. It was an explosion of capability, really.
Okay, an explosion. I bet that created a need for some common ground rules, standards. How did the industries start to formalize all this new capability?
Yeah, exactly. Things were getting a bit Wild West, maybe. That's why the Project Management Institute, PMI, was founded back in 1969. It was crucial. Needed to foster professionalism, create a common language. And their big contribution is the PMBOK guide, the Project Management Body of Knowledge. First one was 96. It quickly became the sort of de facto standard. And it's evolved too, which is interesting. The 6th edition brought in agile practices. 7th edition shifted more towards principles for flexibility. And then there's the PMP certification, started in 84. Over 1 million people have it now globally. That's a huge testament to its impact on professionalism.
1 million holders. Wow, that really shows how central this has become. Okay, so this brings us to another big shift. You mentioned predictability moving towards adaptability. We all kind of know the waterfall model, that rigid step-by-step thing. What made it so vulnerable? Was it just speed or something more fundamental?
I think it was more fundamental than just speed, yeah. Waterfall, with its strict controls and locking down requirements early on, it was built for a world that was frankly more stable, where requirements didn't change much. That world, well, doesn't really exist anymore for most projects. That rigidity became its weakness. Modern approaches like agile or hybrid frameworks, they start from a different place. They assume planning is ongoing, teams work in shorter cycles, sprints, constant feedback, constant adjustment. And this whole dynamic approach, it's really enabled by modern software. Real-time data, collaboration tools, stuff the waterfall era just didn't have.
That shift sounds huge. It's not just about getting it done on time and budget anymore, is it? It sounds like the goal itself has changed.
Not at all. The old way worked okay in a stable environment where risks were kind of known. Today, it's constant change. People talk about a VUCA world. Volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous. That's the reality. So by embracing adaptive planning, using technology for insights, modern project management moves beyond just delivering an output. It's about creating value, building organizational resilience.
Yeah.
Think about the contrast. Traditional was linear, formal communication. Modern is adaptive, data-driven, real-time communication, integrated software, focusing on outcomes and strategic fit.
Okay, so with all this evolution, has the definition of a project itself changed?
Hmm,
And how we think about risk, especially now everything feels kind of strategic.
That's a really good question. Fundamentally, a project is still temporary, creating something unique. That hasn't changed. But the definition of risk, that's evolved significantly. It's not just about bad things happening, threats. The modern view sees risk as an uncertain event or condition that, if it happens, could have a positive or negative effect on objectives. That dual perspective is key. It's not just minimizing threats. It's also about maximizing opportunities, those positive risks. It's about managing the whole spectrum of uncertainty to actually create value.
Interesting. So this modern risk environment, what are the big new threats or maybe amplified old ones? Are we seeing totally new categories emerge?
Oh, absolutely new categories, and old ones turbocharged. Cybersecurity and AI-powered threats are huge right now, top of mind for many. Attackers are using AI for way more convincing phishing, deepfakes for social engineering,
Yeah.
scary stuff. And there's this insidious thing called data poisoning, basically feeding AI models bad data to mess up their accuracy and objectivity. That's a whole new ballgame.
Data poisoning, wow. Okay, so beyond the digital realm, what about bigger global shifts?
Yeah, geopolitical instability is a massive ongoing risk factor. Looking at 2025 and beyond, it hits everything. AI value chains, access to global customers, even corporate espionage ramps up. And it's a primary driver for those supply chain vulnerabilities we keep hearing about. It's not just politics, it's direct project risk.
Right. And what about how businesses are expected to operate now, the sort of social license?
That leads straight into regulatory and ESG compliance.
Hmm.
ESG meaning environmental, social, and governance. The landscape here is just constantly shifting. New regulations pop up. And ESG reporting, it's moving fast from nice to have to mandatory. There's this concept of double materiality now. Companies have to report not just how ESG issues impact them financially, but also how their operations impact society and the environment. That's a big shift, a whole new risk and opportunity area.
Okay, and finally, with all this tech reshaping things, what about the people, the workforce?
It's a crucial point. That's talent and workforce transformation. AI adoption is creating this huge demand for specialized skills. Finding people is one risk, but maybe the bigger risk is ensuring your current workforce can adapt, learn, and actually use these new technologies effectively. It's a massive upskilling and reskilling challenge. Directly impacts project success if you don't get it right.
It's so clear listening to this. The old siloed approach just doesn't work anymore, right? You take that geopolitical example, one event ripples through supply chains, operations, reputation, financials. It's a cascade. It just screams the need for a holistic, integrated way to look at risk.
Exactly. And that's precisely where something like the COSO framework becomes the blueprint. Meaning enterprise risk management. It's about embedding risk management right into the strategy and performance of the entire organization. It's a direct response to past failures, like Enron, WorldCom, where those interconnected risks hiding in silos brought companies down. Those were huge catalysts for this integrated thinking.
So, the COSO framework, boil it down for us. What are the absolute core ideas that make it work in this complex world? It's about balancing risk and reward, yeah? Not just playing defense.
That's the heart of it, yes. It starts with governance and culture. Setting the tone, the ethical values from the very top. Board oversight is critical. But what really makes EcoSO different, I think, is how tightly it integrates with strategy and objective setting. This is where the magic happens, ideally. The organization defines its risk appetite, how much risk it's willing to accept right alongside its goals for creating value. They're not separate discussions. It's not just about finding risk. It's about deciding which risks are worth taking to achieve your strategy and then constantly monitoring performance against that.
Okay, and just to clear something up, the relationship between COSO and COSO internal control, or IC, people sometimes mix them up. How do they fit together?
That's a common point of confusion, yeah. They're distinct, but definitely integrated. Think of internal control as one component of the broader framework. This integration ensures that risk management isn't just some separate department's job. It's woven into the fabric of the organization's governance. Your controls are aligned with your overall risk strategy, not managed in isolation.
Got it. So this push for formal integrated risk management, It must have forced organizations to rethink their structures, right? Moving beyond just looking at risk project by project, how did that change how project management itself was organized?
It absolutely did. The project management office, the PMO, really evolved. You saw different types emerge. Supportive PMOs, kind of advisory, offering templates, best practices, low control. Then controlling PMOs, which enforce standards, demand compliance. You see those often in regulated industries like finance or healthcare. Moderate control. Then directive PMOs, which actually manage the projects directly, high control. Think aerospace, defense. But the ultimate evolution, the most strategic form, is the enterprise PMO, or EPMO. The EPMO isn't just about managing projects efficiently. It's about aligning the entire project portfolio with the organization's strategy. Prioritizing based on business goals and risk appetite, it becomes a real strategic partner at the executive level.
That EPMO sounds powerful, but it must need serious collaboration to work. Can you introduce this collaborative triad for risk management? What does each part bring to the table?
Yeah, collaboration is everything. The triad is crucial. First, you've got the project manager. They're on the front lines, identifying project-level risks, mitigating them, keeping that risk register up to date. Then you have the PMO. It provides governance, sets the rules of the game, like risk thresholds. It's also the escalation point, if a risk is too big for the PM to handle alone. And at the top, you have the Chief Risk Officer, the CRO, and the broader ERM function. The CRO has that enterprise-wide perspective. They're a strategic leader, advising the board on risk strategy, coordinating the whole ERM effort. And importantly, the CRO usually has independence, reporting directly to the CEO and board. That unbiased view is critical for enterprise risk. And just to add another layer of clarity on roles, the Institute of Internal Auditors, the IIA, has this model called the three lines model. It really helps define accountability. The first line is operational management. Your project managers, the people actually owning and managing risks day to day. The second line provides oversight and guidance. This includes functions like risk management, compliance, legal, the PMO, the CRO. They challenge and support the first line. And the third line is internal audit. They provide independent, objective assurance to the board and senior management that everything risk management, internal controls is actually working effectively.
Okay, now let's shift gears to the tools, the technology. This feels like where things get really accelerated, moving from reactive, maybe paper-based processes to proactive, data-driven stuff. That's a huge leap, right?
But absolutely transformative. Think about traditional risk assessment. It was often static, maybe quarterly reviews using spreadsheets. Very manual, very prone to bias. The modern approach is dynamic risk assessment. It uses continuous monitoring, real-time key risk indicators, KRIs. This gives you ongoing intelligence. You can spot potential issues before they blow up. Risk management becomes proactive, not just cleaning up messes. The benefits are obvious. Faster, smarter decisions, less manual work, much greater organizational resilience.
Okay, but real-time monitoring must generate a ton of data.
Yeah.
How do organizations actually handle that complexity? Is that where GRC platforms come in? Sort of a central nervous system for risk data?
Exactly. GRC governance, risk, and compliance platforms are these integrated software solutions. They pull together risk data, compliance information, audit findings, everything into one place. Key features, things like centralized data repositories, automated workflows for managing processes like vendor risk or incidents, framework mapping to link controls to standards like COS or NIST or ISO, but their real value, connecting all those disparate dots, giving you that holistic enterprise-wide view. They help elevate risk management from a necessary chore to a strategic activity that actually creates value.
And now, AI. This feels like the next frontier, predictive risk intelligence. How is AI changing the game beyond just managing the data we already have?
AI takes it to a whole new level. It's about moving from hindsight to foresight. Predictive analytics, powered by AI, can forecast potential risks and their likely impact with much greater accuracy than humans alone. Think predicting supply chain disruptions based on global events or spotting complex fraud patterns in transaction data before significant losses occur. It enables genuinely proactive decisions. And then there's AI for compliance and auditing. It can automatically monitor regulatory changes, continuously test the effectiveness of controls, identify anomalies that humans might miss. It basically transforms slow, after-the-fact detective controls into proactive, almost preventative measures. Huge efficiency gains, much better compliance.
Okay, predictive power is one thing, but how do we get more precise than just saying a risk is low, medium, or high? How do we actually quantify risk better?
Right. Moving beyond subjective labels is key for good decision-making. Two powerful techniques here are Monte Carlo and FAIR. Monte Carlo simulation sounds complex, but the idea is simple. Instead of one guess, it runs thousands, even millions of simulations based on ranges of possibilities. For a project schedule, it doesn't just give you one date, it gives you a probability distribution. Like, there's an 80% chance we finish by June, but only a 10% chance by April. That's incredibly valuable for stakeholders. Then there's fair factor analysis of information risk. This is a specific quantitative model, really strong for cybersecurity risks. It breaks cyber risk down into two main components: how often a loss event might happen, loss event frequency, and how bad it would be if it did, loss magnitude. It helps translate fuzzy cyber threats into concrete financial terms that executives can actually use to prioritize spending and make informed decisions.
Okay, so we've got framework, structure, amazing tech. But none of it matters if the insights don't get to the right people, especially the board, in a way they can actually use. Why is that communication piece often so hard?
It's a classic challenge. Boards and senior execs don't have time for wading through spreadsheets of raw data. They need the bottom line, the strategic implications. So effective board reporting relies heavily on risk aggregation. That means rolling up all those individual project-level or operational risks into a coherent, enterprise-wide picture. Often this involves normalizing different types of impact, reputation, safety, environment, into a common language, usually financial terms, so you can compare apples to apples, essentially. And there's a clear escalation path. PM identifies a risk, maybe escalates to the PMO. If it's bigger, it goes to ERM, and those significant ones land with the board.
And making that aggregated view digestible. Visualization must be key, right? Like those dynamic dashboards and risk heat maps, likelihood versus impact, often color-coded. Modern software makes these possible, yeah.
Absolutely indispensable. Heat maps give you that instant visual snapshot of the risk landscape. Where are the biggest threats? But the best dashboards do more than just show data points. They highlight trends over time. Are risks increasing or decreasing? They show performance against the organization's stated risk appetite. Are we taking too much risk? Or maybe not enough in some areas? And crucially, they provide context. They answer the so what question. How does this specific risk connect to our overall business strategy? They need to deliver actionable insight, not just information overload.
So distilling that down, best practices for communicating that so what to the board. What really makes it land effectively?
Okay, key things. First, focus high level. Use key risk indicators, KRIs, and include a forward-looking view, a horizon scan of what might be coming. Second, use plain language, plain English. Avoid jargon. Frame risks as clear problem statements with tangible business impacts. Third, balance is crucial. Mix qualitative insights with quantitative data. Look backward, historical trends, but emphasize looking forward. Cover both financial and non-financial risks. And finally, often you'll have a dedicated board risk committee, BRC. This isn't the same as the audit committee. The BRC can dive deeper into strategic risks, non-financial risks, really get involved in the decision-making and ensuring risk management aligns with strategy. But underlying all of this, technology is just the enabler. The foundation has to be a transparent, risk-aware culture. Everyone needs to understand their role.
Wow, what a journey we've covered from, ancient builders relying on intuition to today's incredibly complex, integrated tech-fueled discipline. It's amazing how project complexity, technology, and just the sheer need for a bigger picture have completely reshaped how we think about project risk. It's truly been a profound evolution. And modern integrated project risk management, it's not optional anymore. It's a genuine strategic imperative for any organization wanting to be resilient in this, VUCA world we keep mentioning. Frameworks like COSO, ERM, structures like strategic EPMOs, they're designed to break down those dangerous silos. And technology, especially AI, is giving us that real-time predictive intelligence we need to actually navigate the complexity effectively.
So here's something to think about as we wrap up. In a world where change really is the only constant, how is your organization using the insights from risk management? Is it just about survival? Or are you truly leveraging it to thrive, to turn potential threats into real opportunities for creating value? Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.